Good Thursday morning. How are you? It's Mitch again. Do you welcome interruptions? Is my question for us today. I'm not going to lie about it. No, I don't. Interruptions are one of those things that cause me to get angry. We talked about anger yesterday. It's amazing, isn't it? Sometimes the simplest things can produce the most frustration and anger in our life. And interruptions are one of those that I struggle with. So I found this quote very interesting that we're going to share today, because just full disclosure, I'm still in the process of dealing with this one in my own life. So this is a Mitch's musing for Mitch. But no, I don't welcome introductions. I despise them. Interruptions cause me trouble. Most of my life, I have been diagnosed with ADD at some point in my journey, and I've come to realize I've got coping mechanisms that I've built in, and one of those is I've got to have rituals and things in place. Every morning when I get up, I do the exact same thing, and my life just works better when I have everything scheduled. I live by my calendar from hour to hour. I have things scheduled out. And when those things are interrupted, it just throws me off my game. And as many times I have responded inappropriately, and I've allowed that frustration to produce tons of anger. It's caused problems in my relationships with my wife, with my kids, with many others. So I don't welcome interruptions, but I hope from today's quote and maybe from today's musing, I can get a little ground on this, and maybe you can too. So let's look at our quote. This is from, and again, another one of those unknown authors, but it says this: roughly half of Jesus' miracles were interruptions. He had a plan. He had a destination, but he was interruptible. He was interruptible. I wonder how often we miss what God is doing because we hold too tightly to our own plans. Now, I did not do the research to see if this is an accurate quote. Roughly half of Jesus' miracles were interruptions, but I do recall many of them were. He had a plan. He had a destination, but he was interruptible. That really messed with me. I ain't gonna lie. When I read that, I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm definitely not identifying myself as interruptible. And if Jesus was interruptible, then I probably need to be too. Years ago in my journey, I ran across the book, highly recommend the book, called by Brant Hansen, called Unoffendable. And I've made it a mantra in my life. I am unoffendable. I want to be unoffendable. So I started declaring that I'm unoffendable. You can't offend me. So I may need to adopt that with this one. I am, what was the word? It's escaping me. Interruptible. I'm interruptible. Definitely not true right now, but I want it to be true because I'm tired of the problems that it causes me. So I want us to look at one of these examples of Jesus being interruptible. And there's several verses that I want us to look at here. Let me make sure I'm where I want to be. I am not. I'm a long way from it. I'm at the last verse. So verse 41 of Luke 8 says this: and behold, there came a man named Jairus, and he was a ruler of the synagogue, and he fell down at Jesus' feet and besought him that he would come into his house. For he had one only daughter, about 12 years of age, and she lay a-dying. But as he went, the people thronged him. And a woman having issue of blood 12 years, which had spent her whole living upon physicians, neither could be healed of any, came behind him and touched the border of his garment, and immediately her issue of blood staunched. And Jesus said, who touched me? When all denied, Peter, and they that were with him said, Master, the multitude throng thee and press thee, and sayest thou, who touchest me? Man, are you crazy? These people all around you. And Jesus said, somebody hath touched me, for I perceive that virtue has gone out of me. And when the woman saw that she was not hid, she came trembling and fell down before him. She declared unto him before all the people for what cause she had touched him, and how she was immediately healed. And he said unto her, Daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith hath made thee whole. Go in peace. So that's one example of Jesus being interruptible. He was on the way to help Jairus deal with his daughter. And if I remember correctly, while he was interrupted, they come to Jairus and say, hey, don't worry about messing with Jesus. Your daughter is dead. And Jesus says, don't worry about it, son. She's just asleep. And so that's a whole nother story. But here's the thing. He had a plan. He had a destination. He was headed to go to Jairus' house to heal his daughter when he was interrupted by somebody else who had a need. And I love the way the story unfolds, because this woman didn't just come interrupt him in the sense of jumping in front of him. She just simply by faith reached out, just saying, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, if I can just get my hands on him, I'll be healed. And her faith produced that healing. But Jesus felt it. He felt the virtue leave his body, as he says. So he stopped and began to inquire, who touched me? The disciples are oblivious, as many of us often are. What do you mean, who touched you? There's a crowd everywhere. There's all kind of people bumping into you. But Jesus says, no, somebody touched me with faith. Somebody touched me, and I felt that virtue flow. The woman owns up, and we have the story of her healed from 12 years of an issue of blood. And then he makes his way on, obviously, to Jairus' house and raises her from the dead. It's one of the three in scriptures that he did. So there's the story. But just this whole concept of Jesus being interruptible. He was not angry. He didn't get frustrated because somebody blocked his goal and stopped his process. He responded a whole lot differently in that situation than I do, than many of us do, because I believe, quite frankly, most of us don't welcome interruptions. We don't enjoy our plans being interrupted. So this has been a challenge for me, and I just want to challenge you. In Proverbs, verse 16:9, it says this, a man's heart deviseth his way, but the Lord directeth his steps. So what I get out of that, as far as application in our life, is we can make all the plans we want to. Out of the desire of our heart, we can make our plans and decide what we're going to do, but ultimately it's God that's directing our steps. So is it possible that some of these interruptions are God that we're missing? As our quote, the end of our quote says, I wonder how much we're missing out on what God is doing because we're in such a hurry and we're not interruptible. So is it possible that these interruptions many times are God seeking to show us something, to get us to do something, to get us to engage with someone? And I have found through the years, I'm better at this than I used to be. I have found many times, if I'll pause and stop, there's usually a reason. There's something there that is beneficial if I'll just respond well enough to look for it. So a lot of times these interruptions are opportunities, man, that God is presenting to us. And I do think we miss a whole lot of what God is doing and wanting to do in our life because we're just in such an all-fired hurry and we've got our plans and we can't deviate from that. So I'm challenging myself, challenging you. Let's learn to be interruptible. And then Isaiah, verse 9 of chapter 55 says, for as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts. So again, that's a scripture we use often, but I think it applies here. We've got to understand God's the one who directs our steps. God's the one who's leading and guiding in our life, possibly even in some of these interruptions. And we really just need to establish in our heart and mind that God knows what he's doing. And I need to learn to yield, submit my will to his, even in these areas of my plans and my goals and my day. Just let God be in control. Let God lead. Let God guide. So they guide. So these are my thoughts today. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about responding well. Yesterday we discussed anger and how we need to respond rather than reacting to anger. Today, I'm being honest with you. This is one of the things that has tripped me up. Simple little thing, but it causes me a lot of trouble, frustration, and anger, being interrupted. So I really want to take some time tomorrow and discuss what it looks like to respond well, to respond correctly when we have these issues that arise in our life. So if you're just catching this one, go back and hit tomorrow's and be sure or hit yesterday's and be sure and stick around, watch for tomorrow, because these all three are going to kind of flow along together. So appreciate y'all again. Some of you who's just there every time, and I so appreciate you. I'm enjoying our little good mornings. Just good morning, y'all. Good morning, everybody. So thank you for being here, watching live, commenting on those. And even if you catch the replay, commenting and just letting me know that you're out there means a lot to me. There's the book, restoredcoaching.org, or Amazon is where you can get you a copy. Jump back in with me tomorrow. I'm excited about sharing how to respond well. Do you respond well will be my question. And if you don't, maybe tomorrow will help you begin the process of responding well. So that's it for today. We love you. We'll see y'all back again tomorrow morning for our Friday musing. Give you a little more tomorrow to carry into